Joining us now, Chairman of the Democratic Caucus and member of the House Ways and Means Committee, Democrat Joe Crowley of New York. So it's very funny, but behind every great funny SNL satire is a grain of truth. Where are the new people? Where are the new ideas? Where are the new leaders?
There are many within our party, and certainly, well, look.
Name three.
Name three. How about Joe Crowley for one?
Okay.
I think Sherry Bustos from Illinois is a fantastic young leader. I think Hakeem Jeffries from Brooklyn is outstanding. I think you can look at Joaquin Castro from Texas. This is a myriad of young folks that I think are there. Joe Kennedy from Massachusetts, who I just love the guy. I think he's fantastic.
Seth?
Yeah, no, he's the real deal, yeah. And so I think there are a lot of folks there just waiting in the wings, and not only the wings. We're out there doing things. We're out there supporting our candidates all over the country, traveling and doing what we do to elect the Democratic majority.
So, Congressman, this tax fight is obviously going to be the biggest fight on the legislative front going forward. A lot of Republicans think this is all or nothing for them. If they can't get this, they got nothing to campaign on. Right now, the polling has the GOP tax proposals are underwater, way more unpopular than they are popular. How is it? How Democrats almost can't screw this up, it would seem. If you start out with the numbers that they're looking at right here, we're looking at them on the screen here, 31% favor, 45% opposed. Is that not, should this not be a relatively, not easy, but relatively easy for Democrats to be able to beat this tax proposal?
Look, I think they have the numbers in the House. There's no question. Yeah. They passed the budget resolution that included, the $1.5 trillion hole in our debt to get this bill passed. Yeah. If they can hold all their California votes to vote against the interests of their own constituents, which they did already in the budget resolution, we have 9 Republicans in New York State, 7 of whom voted against that resolution. 5, I believe, have come out against this bill. If all those folks come out against this bill is dead. And they should come out against it because it actually is against the interests of their constituents. Their constituents, they believe, don't know enough about this, but I think more people understand what this bill is about. More they're against it.
Congressman, we look at past Tuesday's elections. Democrats are on the rise in the suburbs. And if you look ahead to 2018, maybe you just keep riding the wave, running against President Trump. But if you're a senator in a state President Trump won, or a House Democrat in a district President Trump won, do you feel any pressure to maybe come along and vote for this tax proposal?
I think when you look at the fact that when you're getting rid of that state and local tax deduction, that really hits states like California, hits states like New York, hits states like Illinois, hits states like Pennsylvania, just to name a few. New Jersey is another. And much of, I think, the growth of the Republican Party within those states has been in the suburban areas. I think that's a tough vote to explain back home, especially when you have people like Peter King in New York being very outspoken against it. You have others within New Jersey who have come out against the bill. You have Darrell Issa in California who's come out. That wall is breaking, and if that wall is destroyed, I think this bill goes down. It really comes back to that, do you come out better in this tax bill or worse? And I think for about 28% of Americans, they're going to see an increase in their taxes. That's middle-class America, at the expense of the middle class, to help give a major tax break to the wealthiest in this country and special interest corporations. And it just doesn't jive with the average American. That's what we should be about doing right now.
You know, when you look at the outlines of this bill as they've appeared in print newspapers and online and stuff like that, and from people like you appearing in TV shows, you look at what's doing to deductions for medical expenses, for student loans, and things like that. That's clearly a negative for many, many families. But there's one element in this bill that I'm interested in your opinion on. And it is the refusal to include state and local income taxes going forward as a deduction. And if you look at the elements of that and outline the states that would be most impacted, it's almost always blue states that vote Democrat.
It's actually the one thing.
Or is
no, I think you're not paranoid. It's the one thing that's been consistent throughout any bill that's come forward. Even when the president's initial bill was presented, in the 2 or 3 pages that he presented, there were no pay-fors. It was almost a $3.5 to $4 trillion bill. There were no pay-fors, except there was one, and that was the elimination of SALT, or state and local tax deductions. So, yeah, there are other horrible things that are in here, including getting rid of the tax credit for hiring veterans, for instance, and that's gone. There's so many little, the teacher, buying extra tools for teaching in class, that will no longer be expensed under this bill. There's so many little things in this bill that make it, in many respects, for me, immoral. But you know, I think the double taxation of states like California, like New York, like New Jersey, even Pennsylvania, I think is a focus on blue rather than anything else. I think it's a very, very political document.
You have now said that you think that the Democrats have better than 50% chance of retaking control of the House in 2018. You got Steve Bannon out there right now loudly saying, trying to rally Republicans by saying if the Democrats take control of the House, that will lead to the impeachment of President Trump. So just talk about how the politics of impeachment will become a campaign issue and how Democrats should handle that as you guys head into next November.
Well, it's already an issue. People talk about it. We've seen the ads, seen the Steyer ads. We know that that's in terms of ginning up the support amongst our base. I think there's real concern about the direction of our country right now and where the president's taken us, not just in terms of what we've seen overseas, but domestically as well. You know, the desperation to get this tax bill passed at all costs is because of the donor base. You know, Chris Collins said it from Buffalo. You know, we've had others say it as well. If they don't pass this bill, they're done. And I think when it comes to the issue of impeachment, I like the fact that Robert Mueller is doing his job. Mueller is doing his job. He's investigating this. He's taking it where it leads. And if it leads to somewhere and it's an issue that can be prosecuted, that's up to them to decide. You know, I think everyone deserves their day in court, including this president.
All right, Congressman Joe Crowley.